Yes. Good afternoon, students. Welcome again to a new session at Educators Plus. I am Akarshi, your English faculty at Educators Plus. Students, those who have attended my session of 11 a.m., you must be knowing that we have discussed the theory of Shakespearean age and the Jacobean age, and I have tried to cover most important authors and their works in that particular lecture. I hope you have understood the things well. In case you have doubt, again, I want you to actually post your doubts in the comment section of the particular lecture, and I'll be answering your doubts. Okay. So, and in this session, I have brought some previous year's question based upon both the ages, that is Elizabethan age and Jacobean age, and we will be solving those questions together, and I'll be explaining you the concept behind that particular right answer. Okay. So let's not waste much of the time and let's begin the session. So the first question for today's session is, okay, so which character in Hamlet utters the line something is rotten in the state of Denmark? ठीक है, so you have to tell me in the chat box कि ये line किस character ने बोली थी in Hamlet. ठीक है, something has been rotten in the state of Denmark. Is it Marcellus, Bernardo, Ghost, or Horatio? Yes, please answer in the chat box. Do you know which character has uttered this line? Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. So we have discussed about Hamlet in my lecture. I have told you important points that are important from the modern perspective as well, because what happens now, the modern adaptation has been asked. Okay, so मैंने आपको बताया था Tom Stoppard is the person who has written Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, and it is a modern adaptation of the play Hamlet. ठीक है, so आपको इसमें मुझे बताना है who has uttered this line. Yes, so the correct answer to this particular option is Marcellus. Okay, so let me tell you something about Hamlet first. So you know that in this play, it's been a couple of months since the death of King Hamlet. Okay, and who was King Hamlet? King Hamlet was the father of Prince Hamlet. Okay, and very recently in this play, Claudius. And who was Claudius? Claudius was the King Hamlet's brother, and Gertrude, who was Hamlet's mother, were married, and Claudius was crowned as king. Okay, and Hamlet has written for the funeral of his father and for his mother's wedding, and he was not happy with his mother's wedding. Okay, and frailty thy name is woman is also a phrase by Hamlet which he has dedicated to his mother, because he actually has taken his mother to be morally weak and not fit to be actually the part of this particular kingdom. And now, just as this has happened, his father has died and his mother got married. A ghost that resembles the late King Hamlet has been seen by the guards actually stalking around the ramparts at midnight. Okay, and who was the captain of the guards? So basically Marcellus, who is there over here, who is basically unsure about how to deal with the supernatural visitation of the Hamlet's father, has called upon Horatio to accompany them this night to verify what have been seen. And this was actually a setting of this play from where the play began. Okay, and this something has been rotten in the state of Denmark is a very recurring motif, you can say, in the play, or you can see a theme or an image which in the work of literature. For example, in the work of Shakespeare also, if you see that Macbeth, okay, in the play Macbeth, blood is mentioned numerous times throughout the play. Okay, and eventually the audience associates blood with Macbeth's feeling of guilt for having murdered King Duncan. Okay. Also, the fact that this image recurs is a proof that it's significant. Okay, and what this motif signifies? This motif signifies corruption in the play Hamlet, and throughout the play there's the undying current of realization that all isn't well in Hamlet's world. ठीक है, तो ये हमेशा एक सिग्निफाई कर रहा था ये चीज कि जैसे Hamlet की लाइफ में सब कुछ अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है. There is something problem in Hamlet's life, and this motive is probably best summed up in this famous line known as something is rotten in the state of Denmark. And who utters this line? This line has been uttered by the character Marcellus. Okay, is it clear? Okay, so let's move to the next question. Okay, so the next question is a classical influence on Ben Jonson Walpole is. ठीक है, so हमने ये Walpole discuss करा था in my theory lecture about this play Walpole कि ये एक beast fable है and there are a lot of characters who are actually synonymous to the different animals. So इसमें बताना है कि जो ये play था Ben Jonson का, इसमें classical influence किसका था? Is it Juvenal, Aristophanes, Plautus or Terence? In the chat box, can you answer it? Okay, students, these are all previous year's questions, so I would like you to please request you to please participate because this is kind of a take it as an exam. Okay, जैसे आप exam दे रहे हो because इसी type के questions आपके exams में पूछे जाएंगे, so it's better to participate and learn if you have made a mistake. Okay, yes. Okay, so basically the correct answer to this question is Aristophanes. Okay, so let me tell you something about Aristophanes. So Aristophanes in Greek literature is known as the father of comedy. ठीक है, Aristophanes को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Father of comedy बोलते हैं. Okay, he is known as the father of comedy and he is the major representative of the ancient Greek comedy. Okay, and इसकी प्लेस में क्या खासियत होती है? इसकी प्लेस में हमेशा आपको कोरस और माइम देखने को मिलेगा and these two things form the integral part of his play. ओके एंड इसके प्लेस के बारे में आपसे एग्जाम से पूछा भी जाता है. सो कुछ इसके इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेस हैं जैसे द क्लाउड्स, ओके, द वास्प, द बर्ड्स, लिसिस्ट्रेटा एंड फ्रॉग्स. तो जो इसका प्ले है लिसिस्ट्रेटा, द क्लाउड्स, ओके, बर्ड्स, इन सब से आपके नेट में क्वेश्चंस आ चुके हैं. ठीक है, सो इट्स और ऑल्सो एक और का वर्क है द फ्रॉग, उससे भी आपके क्वेश्चंस आ चुके हैं. सो इट्स बेटर टू रीड दिस प्ले एंड मेक योर नोट्स बिकॉज इससे आपके क्वेश्चंस पूछे जा चुके हैं. तो बहुत चांसेस है कि आपको दोबारा भी एग्जाम्स में ये क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाए. ठीक है, एंड लेट्स टॉक अबाउट वॉलपोन. So I've already explained that Walpole is a comedy by the English playwright Ben Jonson and it draws on the elements of city comedy and is also a beast fable. मैंने आपको ये अपने लेक्चर में बताया था कि ये एक beast fable है. तो इसमें क्या होता है? बेसिकली इट इज अ सटायर. ठीक है, और ये सटायर किस चीज का? इट इज अ सटायर ऑफ ग्रीड एंड लस्ट. ओके, इट इज अ सटायर ऑफ greed and lust. Okay, greed and lust is satire and it remains basically Jonson's most performed play and it is ranked among the finest Jacobean era comedies. Yes, good afternoon. Okay, and this play Walpole is a comical and sarcastic portrait of a wealthy but selfish old man who keeps his greedy would-be heirs, okay, hanging on his wishes, each thinking that he will inherit Walpole's wealth. तो ये सब हमारा सेंट्रल आइडिया होता है. बहुत ही मजेदार प्ले है, आप प्लीज इसको पढ़ना बिकॉज इट इज यू विल बी नो बस्टिंग इनटू लाफ्टर ऑफ कोर्स. एंड इन दिस प्ले इज नो कॉमन माइजर, ओके, एंड ही ग्लोरिफाइज लेस इन होर्डिंग ऑफ हिज treasure than its acquisition and he revels in the hypocrisies that those who ever ready to fawn upon the rich man, fooling them to top of their bent. Okay, and this play is basically extraordinarily cleverly portrayed and is brilliantly actually constructed and its defects lie in certain hardness and lack of humanity. Okay, let's move ahead. This was all about Aristophanes and Walpole. Next, which of the following is not a revenge tragedy? Okay, so आपको बताना है, जो आपको चार ऑप्शन दे रखे हैं, द वाइट डेविल, द डचेस ऑफ माल्फी, डॉक्टर फॉस्टर्स एंड द स्पेनिश ट्रेजेडी, इसमें से कौन सा एक रिवेंज ट्रेजेडी नहीं है? ओके, सो प्लीज लेट मी नो इन द चैट बॉक्स. So you must be familiar with these plays, so it's easy to predict that which is not a revenge tragedy. Okay, So the correct answer to this question is Dr. Faustus. So I have discussed about Dr. Faustus in my lecture. So you must be knowing that it is a play by Christopher Marlowe. Okay. And what was the full name of Dr. Faustus? I have told you in my last previous lecture. The full name of Dr. Faustus is The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus, and it is basically a tragedy in 5 acts. ठीक है, 5 acts में ये ट्रेजेडी लिखी गई है. ठीक है, and basically Marlowe has basically inspired, got influence from the German book Postwatch, which is actually a medieval legend. Okay, and this play is based on that work. And what is the play about? The play's tragic hero is Faustus. Okay, and who was Faustus? He was a brilliant German scholar who feels that he has reached the limits of divine academic learning and devotes himself to the study of magic. And what he does for that, he basically makes a pact. Okay, and how he makes a pact? By signing in blood with the evil spirit Mephistopheles to sell his soul to the devil. Who was the devil? Devil was Mephistopheles. Okay, fine. And in exchange for 24 years of services, Lucifer gives Faustus a life of pleasure, magical power, and illicit knowledge of the secrets of the universe. And in the end, both Dr. Faustus and Mephistopheles, who is the devil, which is actually playing a role of devil in the play, are powerfully portrayed throughout the play. Okay, fine. Also in this play, Marlowe examines Faustus' intellectual ambitions, revealing them as futile, self-destructive and absurd. So उसका इतना ज़्यादा ambitious था, उसका इतना ज़्यादा ambitions थे that ultimately it led to his fall. So this was the story all about. Okay, let's move ahead now. Okay, so now Ben Jonson comedies are. तो मैंने सारे वर्क्स बेन जॉनसन के डिस्कस करे थे, मैंने आपको बताया था विच इज द ओनली ट्रेजेडी रिटन बाय बेन जॉनसन, और आपको प्लेस भी बताए थे कौन सी उसकी कॉमेडीज हैं. ठीक है, सो यू हैव टू टेल मी विच आर द कॉमेडीज ऑफ बेन जॉनसन आउट ऑफ दीज 4 ऑप्शन in the chat box. Out of these 4 options, which are the 4 comedies of Ben Jonson, so the answer to this question is Volpone, Alchemist and Epicon. ठीक है, so आपको ये चीज़ मैंने डिस्कस करी थी. So if you want to study deeply about this particular place, you should go back to my lecture of 11 a.m. and I have discussed all the comedies and the tragedy written by Ben Jonson. Okay, so let's move ahead now. The hero of Marlowe's Tamburlaine was born as a. ठीक है, Tamburlaine is a tragedy by Marlowe. तो उसमें जो हीरो था, तो he was born as a carpenter, goldsmith, shepherd or fisherman. You have to tell me in the chat box. Out of these 4 options, which is the correct one? Okay, so the correct option for this correct answer for this question is shepherd. So he was born as a shepherd. So as you know that this Tamburlaine the Great is the full name of the play by Christopher Marlowe, and it recounts the brutal rise of power and demise of the 14th century emperor. And who was the emperor? Emperor name was Amir Temur. Okay. He was an emperor on which this play has been based on. And Tamburlaine is the main character of the play, and he is initially a shepherd who manages to conquer Turkey and other countries. And he is described as being very proud man and who sees himself as a god or even bigger than God. Okay? Or bigger than Muhammad, which is a god in Islam. Okay, and he wants to rule everyone in this particular world. And when he was talking about himself, he always mentioned him as being the great Tamburlaine. That's why the full name is Tamburlaine the Great. He never used to call it that I am Tamburlaine. He used to say that I am Tamburlaine the Great, because he used to take himself above of God, and he is very cruel, okay, and war loving, expecting his sons to be just the same. तो वो नहीं चाहता था कि उसके सन थोड़े भी सॉफ्ट हो, थोड़े मर्सीफुल हो, थोड़े से दयालु हो, वो नहीं चाहता था. He wants their son, his son, to be just like him, very cruel and war loving. And when his son, and what was the name of the son? Caliphus. Caliphus was the name of his son, and when his son Caliphus end up not rising to his father's standard, which his father has set, so Tamburlaine kills him. So in many ways, we can see that Tamburlaine is a titan who tries to take down the ancient god, but he fails in his attempts. Okay, this was, see how the Faustian urge was there. So I have talked about Faustian urge in my lecture, that this basically the character Tamburlaine has been known for the Faustian urge. And what is the Faustian urge? The urge or the greed for power, and for that power he has slaughtered and waged war against people. Fine, let's move ahead now. Now, next question says that English iambic pentameter was brought to its first maturity in. ठीक है, so जो English का जो iambic pentameter था, वो किसके form में, mature form में in English literature it appeared? Sonnet, dramatic verse, lyric or elegy. Okay, so please answer in the chat box which is the right option. Okay, so it brought into maturity in which form? Okay, so the correct answer is the dramatic verse. Now, let me tell you something about dramatic verse. So basically, a dramatic verse is a type of poem that is used to tell a story. So it is having a narrative value. ठीक है, तो वो क्या होता है, वो आपको एक स्टोरी के फॉर्म में एक पोएम होती है जो आपको स्टोरी सुनाती है. एंड मेनी स्टोरीज वर टोल्ड विद द यूज ऑफ ड्रामेटिक वर्स, मोस्ट ऑफ शेक्सपियरियन वर्क. एंड ठीक है, तो शेक्सपियर यूज टू टेल दिस. No, God, it is dramatic verse, not sonnet. Okay, and the dramatic verse poem does not have a specified structure, but it is written as verse to be spoken. ठीक है, so dramatic verse को poetic drama भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है, because it is a form of poetry telling a story, so it is also known as poetic drama. And this kind of a verse is a very simple verse with a dramatic flair. एंड वो ड्रामा इस फॉर्म में होता है कि आपको स्टोरी में मजा आता है. ओके, जब आप वो स्टोरी सुनते हो तो इतना ड्रामा होता है, इतना अप्स एंड डाउन होता है, यू आर एंजॉइंग द स्टोरी. ओके, फाइन. ओके, एंड दिस इंग्लिश रेनेसा टाइम जो हमने अभी डिस्कस करा था लेक्चर में, इट सॉ द हाइट ऑफ ड्रामेटिक वर्स इन द इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग वर्ल्ड. And who were the playwrights writing dramatic verses? They were Ben Jonson, you can say Christopher Marlowe were also writing, William Shakespeare. They actually developed the new techniques both for dramatic structure and for also poetic form. So as I told you, this age is also known as the significant age for drama and the second significant age for poetry as well. Fine. And if I talk about some examples of this dramatic verse, you can see that Shakespeare has written, this has used this form in A Midsummer Night Dream. Okay, and you can see that the majority of the dramatic words are written in blank verse as well. Okay, and they are also prose in which blank verse has been used. Okay, and this kind of, as I told you, this actually originated in Renaissance period. And this dramatic verse began to decline popularity in the 19th century when the prosaic and conversational form actually emerged among the playwrights. And it actually, verse drama did have the role also in development of Irish theatre, when it's like Irish writers like G.B. Shaw, okay, they emerged as the writers. Okay, this was all about dramatic verse. Let's move ahead. Okay, the next question says that the rhyme scheme of the Spenserian sonnet is. So, जो Spencer ने जो sonnet develop करा था, you know that sonnet was brought into Italy. Petrarch was the originator of that. Then Shakespeare adopted that form and made the Shakespearean sonnets. Similarly, Spencer has also adopted that form and it came to be known as Spenserian sonnet. So, उनका rhyme scheme क्या था? You have to tell me in the chat box. Yes. What is the rhyming scheme of this Spenserian sonnet? ओके, सो दिस राइमिंग स्कीम्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, आपके नेट में ही पूछा जाता है, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि इसका राइमिंग स्कीम क्या है इस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में. पेंसिलिन, yes, very good. It is A. AB, BC, BC, CD, CD and EE. ठीक है. So as you know that sonnet is one of the oldest and it is one of the most popular forms in English. Okay, and it was brought into England by Thomas Watt. You know that. ठीक है. And this Edmund Spenser was also a poet of the Elizabethan age who created Spenserian sonnet in iambic pentameter. And what was the rhyme scheme? The rhyme scheme was AB, AB, BC, BC, CD, CD and EE. And he has immensely applied this rhyming scheme in his work Amoreti. Okay, so मैंने बताया था आपको Amoreti is a collection of 89 sonnets. Okay, and उसमें ये scheme implement हुई है by Edmund Spenser. And this Spenserian sonnet is a variation on the Shakespearean sonnet. Okay, and इसमें थोड़ी सी अभी हम शेक्सपियर के बारे में भी sonnet discuss करेंगे. So till now you should know that it is a kind of a variation from the Shakespearean sonnet. ठीक है, let's move ahead. Now, who among the following Marlowean characters is consumed by greed? ठीक है, out of this 4 option you have to tell me ऐसा कौन सा character है मार्लो के play में who is actually consumed by greed. मैंने आपको ये पढ़ाया है in my lecture, you must be knowing this. Okay, तो मैं आपको एक इसमें clue देती हूँ. He was a Machiavellian character. Okay, he was a Machiavellian character. So I have told you this already in my lecture. So you must be knowing that. जो बहुत ज़्यादा greedy था. Okay, so the answer to this question is Barabbas. Okay, so Barabbas was the protagonist of the play. और कौन सा play था? The Jew of Malta. ठीक है, and he's a Jewish merchant who only cares for his daughter Abigail and his vast personal fortune. ठीक है, and when Barabbas was asked to help the government pay Turkish tribute, Barabbas was very infuriated and he actually vows at that point of time that I will going to take a revenge. And what he does, he to take revenge, he clever plots leads to the death of many characters including Abigail and the governor's son. And basically this Barabbas was succeeded in many ways in the least hypocritized character in this particular play. Yes, very good, Gohar. It is Barabbas. And basically this Barabbas is generally honest about what motivates his crime and he never attempt to justify his action by religious doctrine. Okay, so this character was very greedy, ambitious, wicked, and he ultimately proves out to be that he can do anything to actually satisfy his greed. So he was a Machiavellian character in this particular play, Jew of Malta. Next, so we have discussed about Spenserian sonnet. Now you have to answer about the Shakespearean sonnet. What is the rhyme scheme of the Shakespearean sonnet? Okay, out of these 4 options in the chat box. What is the rhyme scheme of the Shakespearean sonnet? Yes, please let me know in the chat box. It is an easy one. You must be knowing the answer to it. Yes, very good. It is C. AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF and GG. So as I told you that sonnet is a short lyric poem that consists of 14 lines and it is written in what form? It is written in iambic pentameter and it has specific rhyme scheme. So आपने देखा आपने Spenserian sonnet के बारे में पढ़ा. So now comes the Shakespearean sonnet and basically Shakespearean sonnet is a variation on the Italian sonnet tradition which was actually invented by Petrarch. Okay, and the form evolved in England during the time around Elizabethan era, and these sonnets are sometimes referred to as Elizabethan sonnet or English sonnet. So you can see that Shakespeare name is used synonymous to the Elizabethan age. So हम जैसे age of Elizabeth को Shakespearean age भी बोलते हैं, तो हम Shakespeare sonnet को English sonnets भी बोलते हैं. And what kind of pattern is there of these sonnet? These are 14 lines divided into 4 subgroups which have 3 quatrains and a couplet. ठीक है, 3 quatrains होती हैं and एक couplet होती है, and each line is actually phrased in iambic pentameter, which I have already told you. And the rhyme scheme of this particular sonnet is A B A B, C D C D, E F E F and G G. And what was the theme of these sonnets? The sonnet theme was actually love, but they also reflect upon the time change, or you can say aging, lust, when he used to dedicate his sonnets to dark lady, okay, infidelity, problematic gap between ideal and reality. So all these were the themes of Shakespearean sonnet. And as you know, Shakespeare has written 154 sonnets, okay. So 1 to 126 he has dedicated to a fair youth, okay, who is actually Mr. W.H. And rest of the sonnets he has dedicated to a woman who is also known as the Dark Lady. Fine. Okay, let's move ahead now. Now you have to answer that. Arrange the following stages in a sequence in which all Shakespearean tragedies are structured. Use the quote given below. Denouement, conflict, exposition, climax quote. So आपको ये जो 4 दे रखे elements, हाँ, इसको आपको order wise arrange करना है. So what is the correct answer to this? In the chat box. Yes. Take your time and answer it correctly. It is denouement, conflict, exposition or climax. So this climax code इधर नहीं आएगा, इधर आएगा code. This is the code. You have to answer enter this. Yes, so the correct answer to this question is 3, 2, 4 and 1. First come the exposition, then conflict, then climax climax, and then denouement. Okay, so basically these are the elements of a plot, or you can say the 4 basic parts, you can say, of a particular story. So first comes the exposition. Now what is exposition? Exposition is the basic situation. Okay, exposition is a basic situation, and basically it is also known as a beginning of a story where the characters and conflicts are introduced and the setting. So आप जब story पढ़ना start करते हो तो आपको पता चलता है कि अच्छा ये यहाँ पे सेट है, इसकी ये सेटिंग है, ये कैरेक्टर्स है, ये पर्टिकुलर इनिशियल सिचुएशन है. सो दीज एक्चुअली फॉर्म द एक्सपोजिशन, और यू कैन से द बेसिक सिचुएशन. ठीक है, देन कम्स द complication, or you can say that it is a conflict as well. It is also known as complication. ठीक है, complication or conflict. Okay, so it is basically the part of the story where the main character is taking some action to resolve the conflict and it's unsuccessful. Okay, this causes more problems and complication. तो आपके सामने एक प्रॉब्लम आती है, कैरेक्टर उसको सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करता है, बट ही इज बीइंग अनसक्सेसफुल इन हिज अटेम्प्ट्स. ठीक है, तो वो कॉम्प्लिकेशन होता है, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है, जो आपका मेन प्रॉब्लम होता है आपकी स्टोरी का. दैट इज द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. देन कम द क्लाइमेक्स. ओके, सो क्लाइमेक्स क्या होता है? इट इज बेसिकली अ पॉइंट ऑफ हाईएस्ट इमोशन. जब कैरेक्टर हार जाता है, उसके पास कोई कुछ उसको रास्ता दिखाई नहीं देता, he is at his peak, वो बिल्कुल हेल्पलेस होता है, and that is a turning point also. Okay, and the point at which the outcome of the conflict can be predicted. अब आपको एक सोल्यूशन दिखने लगता है. ठीक है, आपने सब कुछ ट्राई कर लिया, अल्टीमेटली एक आता है रास्ता कि हाँ ये भी ट्राई करके देखता हूँ. इट इज द हाईएस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ इमोशन. ठीक है, दैट इज अ क्लाइमेक्स. फाइन. नेक्स्ट कम द denouement. So denouement is also known as resolution. Okay, it is also known as resolution, or also it rounds and concludes the action, struggles are over, which basically resolution is the end. ठीक है, जब सब चीज हैप्पी रिजॉल्व हो चुकी होती है, एंड जो भी प्रॉब्लम हमें कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में देखने को मिलती है वो सब रिजॉल्व हो चुकी होती है, एवरीबडी एट इट्स पीस, सब खुश होते हैं, एंड दैट्स द एंड ऑफ द स्टोरी. दैट इज द रेजोल्यूशन. सो दैट इज हाउ इट हैज बीन अरेंज्ड. सो नाउ यू आर एबल टू डू दैट, बिकॉज आपको अब समझ में आ गया है कि इनके सबके मतलब क्या होते हैं. ओके, लेट्स मूव अहेड. थॉमस किड्स द स्पेनिश ट्रेजेडी वाज इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय, जो थॉमस किड की ट्रेजेडी थी, इट हैज बीन इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय विच राइटर्स? सेनेका, टर्टुलियन, वर्जिल और प्लॉटस? Yes, can I expect an answer in the chat box? Who is a writer who actually has influenced the Spanish tragedy of Thomas Kyd? So as you know, Thomas Kyd was a university wit. He was not university trained, but still he has been counted in university wits. Yes, very good. It is A, Seneca. Okay. So Thomas Kyd's Spanish tragedy continued the Senecan tradition of tragedy, and it is also known as tragedy of blood, जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा मार धाड़ होती है, बहुत ब्लड शेड होता है, लोग मर रहे होते हैं. That is sometimes sophistication that has been shown in Thomas Kyd tragedy as well. Okay. Okay, so basically Gorboduc is a tragedy which was first tragedy written in Elizabethan age. Okay, and Elizabethan tragedy never freed itself completely from certain melodramatic aspect which was influenced by Seneca. ठीक है, and Spanish tragedy is one of the example. And this Thomas Kyd Spanish tragedy, it actually established a genre in English theatre, and which is that genre, the revenge play, or you can say the revenge tragedy. तो ये रिवेंज ट्रेजेडी का कंसेप्ट उसने सेनेका से बोरो करके इंग्लिश में स्टैब्लिश करा था. एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ रिवेंज ट्रेजेडी आर? इट एक्चुअली अ ट्रेजेडी व्हिच कंटेन्स सेवरल violent murder and includes the character personification of revenge. Okay, and this Spanish tragedy is also considered as the first mature Elizabethan drama, and revenge is the main theme of the play, and the characters are seeking revenge for various things. So that is the main theme of revenge tragedies. Yes, Rajna, Gohar, you are right. It is Seneca. Fine. Let's move ahead. Hamlet, lying wounded, says to his friend Horatio, I am dead. This is an example of, ये बहुत ही रिपीटेड क्वेश्चन है, आपको उसका आंसर बताना है मुझे कि ये जो आपका जो स्टेटमेंट है हैमलेट का, होरेशियो आई एम डेड, दिस इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ प्रोटेसिस, एनाक्रूसिस, प्रोलेप्सिस और पन. Okay, in the chat box, please answer what is the right answer to this particular question. Okay, what is the correct answer to this question? So the correct answer to this question is prolepsis. Okay, so ये आपके लिए थोड़ा सा मे बी फॉरेन टर्म भी हो सकता है, because you might not have heard about prolepsis. So let me tell you that prolepsis is a figure of speech in which a future act or development is represented as if already accomplished or existing. ठीक है, तो जब मैं एक future event को present का करके बताऊं, तो that is a kind of a figure of speech which is known as prolepsis. Horatio, I am dead. So Hamlet is not dead, ठीक है, but he is actually anticipating the future situation into a present time that he might be dead. So he said that I am dead. ठीक है, and this is a statement, you know, it is from Hamlet, and it occurs in Act 5. Act 5 में ये statement है. Just check. I think it is scene 2. Okay, just check it from the internet. It must be Act 5, scene 2. Okay, and in this particular act, Hamlet is dying. He asked his friend, and who was his friend? Horatio was his friend, to share the truth of what has happened. ठीक है, basically he wants Horatio to live and stops him from committing suicide, so he can tell Hamlet's story and preserve his reputation. So in basically, as we can say that Hamlet wants Horatio to remain alive so he can tell Hamlet's story, and Hamlet doesn't want his name or reputation to be worried. So that's why he said that Horatio, I am dead. Okay, let's move ahead now. Identify the correct statement below. So आपको इसमें से बताना है out of these 4 statements which is the correct option. Okay, please read it carefully and answer in the chat box. Please answer in the chat box what is the correct answer to this particular question. Okay, so the correct answer to this question is Gorboduc is a tragedy while Ralph Roister Doister and Grammar Girton Needle are comedies. तो ये आप बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, ये आपको अलग अलग मोल्ड करके आपसे क्वेश्चन नेट पूछता है, ठीक है, तो आपको याद होना चाहिए Gorboduc was the first Elizabethan tragedy and Ralph Roister Doister and Grammar Girton Needle are the comedies of the Elizabethan age. Okay, and this first tragedy Gorboduc was written by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton. ये भी आपको याद रखना है, ठीक है. This is again a very important point कि Gorboduc has written by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton and inspired by again Seneca. Okay, it is because most of the Elizabethan tragedies were inspired by Seneca, and this actually laid the foundation of revenge tragedies in English, ठीक है. And this Ralph Roister Doister is the first comedy and it is again based on the classical models, and these comedies of the Elizabethan era actually has been inspired from Plautus or Terence, ठीक है. So Ralph Doister is a comedy and Girton Grammar Needle were actually also a comedy, and this Ralph Roister Doister has been written by Nicholas Udall. Okay, it is written by Nicholas Udall and it is basically played by Westminster Boys, and this Gorboduc is a tragedy which is written by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton. तो आपको ये सब याद होना चाहिए, and this tragedy is also written in blank verse. Fine. Any questions you can ask me? Okay, so let's move ahead now. Okay, so you have to tell me that Shakespeare's sonnets do not carry a dedication, are dedicated to James I of England, are dedicated to Mary Auden, or are dedicated to an unknown Mr. W.H. So ये तो आप मुझे फटाफट आंसर कर दोगे, बिकॉज ये मैंने इनन्यूमरल टाइम्स रिपीट करा है इन माई लेक्चर्स कि किसको उसने डेडिकेट करे सोनेट. इवन मैंने पिछले क्वेश्चन में भी ये चीज रिपीट करी है, सो यू मस्ट बी नोइंग दैट. इन द चैट बॉक्स कैन यू लेट मी नो to whom the Shakespearean sonnet has been dedicated? Yes, fast in the chat box. Yes, very good, Gaur. It is D. It is dedicated to unknown Mr. W.H. As we know that Shakespeare's sonnets are composed of 14 lines and are divided into 3 quatrains and a final couplet. And what is the rhyming scheme of this particular sonnets? I've already told you the rhyming scheme of Shakespeare's sonnet is AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF and GG. Okay, and the sonnet form and the rhyme scheme is also known as English sonnet. ठीक है, जो शेक्सपियरियन सोनेट को सिनोनिमसली हम इंग्लिश सोनेट भी बोलते हैं. एंड व्हाट वर द थीम्स, मैंने अभी थीम्स बताए थे आपको कि थीम्स ऑफ शेक्सपियर सोनेट के क्या क्या होते हैं. दैट इज लव, infidelity, jealousy, beauty, mortality, all these are themes of Shakespearean sonnet. And how many sonnets Shakespeare has written? Shakespeare has written 154 sonnets. ये नंबर आपको याद रखना है. Shakespeare has written 150 sonnets. The first 126 are dedicated to a young man, okay, who is also known as fair youth, or you can say the name Mr. W.H. And the rest 20 sonnets, okay, are addressed to a woman who is also known as a dark lady. Very good, Gohar. Yes, it has. Yes, Rachna, it is D, and yes, it has been dedicated to lady. No problem, no problem. Okay, and the love was a main theme. Yes, yes, very good, Gohar. He has written 137 plays and he has written 154 sonnets. Very good. So this active participation makes me feel that yes, you guys are paying attention and enjoying the class. Again, I'll repeat, if you have any doubt, you can post in the comment section after the class as well. Okay, so these were all the questions on the previous year which we have practiced. If you want to join the test series of these questions, which is actually starting from 26th of January, on Educator Plus app. So you can just download the app and visit the test series. You can just buy that test series and you will be actually provided with the CBT mode of test series. Okay, so आप अपना basically exam before exam हो जाएगा ये चीज, तो आप उसको भी join कर सकते हो and you can practice these questions because आपको जो previous years होते हैं ये exams के लिए बहुत important होते हैं because ऐसे ही questions आपसे दोबारा पूछे जा सकते हैं. ठीक है. So today we have completed the Shakespearean and the Jacobean age. Okay, I will be coming again live on 11 January at 11 a.m. वहाँ पे मैं मेटाफिजिकल, कैरोलाइन एज, प्यूरिटन एज एंड रिस्टोरेशन एज के बारे में बात करूंगी. आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग द इम्पॉर्टेंट राइटर्स एंड द वर्क्स एसोसिएटेड विद देम. ठीक है. फिर अगेन हम मेरी 1 PM क्लास में ऑन द सेम डे आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग द क्वेश्चंस ऑफ द प्रीवियस ईयर विच हैज कम into that exams or based on those ages. ठीक है. So please stay tuned. Okay, so I will be covering that in the next lecture. Fine. So basically ये हमारा agenda रहेगा. So please stay tuned for the 11 Jan session as well. Okay. Till then, please take care of yourself and goodbye. Wow.